Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we've taken the show on the road, and we're, well, at least I'm doing CommentForce from my car. Welcome to another episode of the podcast between two old boys discussing things Nintendo and things not Nintendo. Gabe is here. How's your week?
Well, first of all, you've just upset me. You could have just said non-Tendo. I don't know why you said non-Nintendo.
That's pretty clever. I'm not hip anymore. We have a comment about age, but I just am not hip enough for that.
Yeah, you're not, man. Get with the times. I feel like your drip levels are at an all-time low, no cap.
My brother Jake, former SwitchForce host, told me that I dress like a cool 7-year-old. He said I wear sweatpants and Disney shirts, and that I look like a cool 7-year-old.
That is an astute observation by Jake there. Wait, can I apologize? Like any weird audio, and we're obviously not on video. Traveling is happening, and to not blame Zach, I'll say I'm traveling too, even though whatever. Okay. So multiple things are happening. We still wanted to do the show, so it's audio only just for this week. So
yes,
sorry.
Let us tickle your ears, and we got some really good comments. So thanks as always for your comments. Thank you for supporting the channel, supporting the both of us. Gabe's link is always in the description. Go check out what he's got going on, putting up some more regular uploads, which I appreciate. Hopefully you guys appreciate. Gabe, let's get into it. Let's talk about the biggest topic of the week, which is the Switch Pro reports. And Destiny James says, I'm less excited now after reading the reports. My biggest wish for the Switch is that it looked better in handheld. If they aren't increasing the resolution there, then I'm totally fine with my version 1 Switch. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on this and kind of like what your biggest wish or hope for the new system is based on now the Bloomberg report stating it's going to have this 7-inch OLED screen.
I hope that Destiny James launches he'll know. Destiny James, it will look better even if it is the same resolution. The OLED screen is going to look pretty good. If you look at an iPhone isn't even like 4K. But what they do with the pixels is I'm not like super technically savvy about iPhones, but there are higher resolution phones that don't look as crisp as the iPhone because of the pixel density and stuff like that. So the OLED alone will improve the handheld stuff. So congrats, Destiny James. I think you can still safely get one. So as far as what I want, I think what I want isn't possible or feasible. I want them to not use cartridges so that they can. That's what. Yeah, I mean, if they standardize things a little bit more, like I think it'd be so cool to just like get more third party, and they have decent third party support now, but it's just to have all encompassing third party support. I think that'd be way easier. But I'm happy with it because I wasn't expecting native 4K from this thing. This is still clearly a half step.
Right.
It's an iteration. This isn't the Switch 2. So I'm good with it, man. And just to let you know, I've talked about this somewhere. I don't know where. I'm playing handheld a lot right now because of Bravely Default 2. I'm like 20 hours deep, and I'm loving that game. So if I can get the Switch Pro to have a little bit of a better battery life and like look a little crisper, man, that's going to be such a fun thing for me. Now, Bravely Default 2 won't be the game I'm going to be playing anymore, but there's a lot of JRPGs coming to the Switch, so I think I'm good with what we got. The one thing I do want to know, and you and I talked about this, like I want to know what natively it's running at while docked. We know that DLSS is there, and it's going to be upscaled to 4K, but I really hope that it's at least 1440p baseline. We won't know for a little while, but there you go. That's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, outside of bringing back UMDs, probably not getting discs. But no, I think, I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, like how much does better graphics matter to me on the Nintendo Switch? How many times am I like, ew, that doesn't look good? And I think potential and exposure is kind of what they're going for here. Like you said, just opening the window for more third-party games, for more multi-platform titles. But I guess like I'm just hopeful that my hope would be, even if they can't look as good, that the experiences feel more comparable, so that I'm not feeling like the Switch is like I'm being punished for picking the Switch version. So I think about a game like Doom, which totally playable on Switch, totally fine, but I do feel like I am taking I have to swallow this pill that says the game is not going to run as well, the game is not going to look as well, but I get to play it portably. And I hope that the under-the-hood performance boost, because from what we have heard, Gabe, it's going to be a decently significant performance boost. I'm reading some places online, they say like, oh, this just sounds like a new 3DS upgrade with, you know, barely any improvement. But that is not how I take this. That's not what I have read, not what I have heard. So if they give me a substantial performance boost, even if the resolution isn't changing, I feel like games like Doom will be able to run better, and that's ultimately what I would rather have.
If we get Doom at 60 FPS, like, it's just gonna feel so much better. Some of those like aiming issues that you and I have with it, just because on top of the resolution being like below 720p in some instances in that game, like that dips like the resolution. The frame rate's like locked at 30. So if we can get the frame rate at 60 and then just have like the resolution even just be locked at 1080p or 720p, whatever, just keep it locked somewhere. Like even that will be a good improvement.
It'll be notable.
Yeah, for sure.
And my other wish, like you, is impossible, which is a better set of Joy-Con, because I more and more only want to play with that Pro Controller. I don't like I'll play indie games with the Joy-Con, but I do not like playing my 3D action-packed games. Like I don't even like Bowser's Fury with the Joy-Con. I don't feel like I have as much control over Mario, as much specificity in my movement. So I wish they would come out with a premium Joy-Con, but I don't really see that happening.
Yeah, Sam, they got to make these things still work. They've sold so many of them.
Yeah. Speaking of selling so many, Sin Nguyen says, scalpers are rubbing their hands furiously with anticipation. And given, the whole debacle with PS5 and, a little bit less, but somewhat the same, Xbox Series X, do we foresee the Switch Pro being this just, explosion of eBay-obsessed scalpers hoarding these consoles and making it super hard to get later this fall?
Absolutely. Like I think we've turned a corner with these things, and I think that every major hardware release in this space, gaming, graphics cards, like all this stuff, like this is just the new reality now. People have figured out that they could like make a decent amount of money just like doing this. So I know some people that like bought a bot, and they're out there just getting what they can, and one side of me like is understanding of it. Like I get the hustle, like I get it. It's obviously dumb. I wish it didn't happen. Like I wish that everybody could just get these things at retail and there wasn't this fervor for everything. But yeah, I think the Switch Pro is going to be in the exact same situation where it's going to be a highly sought after new piece of hardware, and scalpers are going to scalp.
I wonder if, because I think about the Switch being sold out during, the early parts of the lockdown. And yes, people were selling them for more on eBay, but it wasn't regarded in the same way as like, oh, scalpers and bots have kind of taken over the market. It was just hard to get. And I do wonder if Nintendo...
No, finish your thought. No,
I was going to say, I do wonder if Nintendo being less cutting edge and being less expensive and therefore less profit margins, if it just might like have some of that, but not anywhere near the same level.
Nah, I think the only reason you didn't see it like that with Switch is because it had already existed for like 3 years or whatever.
So it wasn't in the forefront of scalpers' minds as something to go after.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like I've seen, I follow LOC Twitter a lot now just to like laugh at it mostly. But like even like so many of those people, right? That's all they tweet about, just like, oh, making money doing this, making money doing that. They'll quote tweet something about Switch Pro and they're like, oh man, I can't wait to scalp. Like they're open about it.
Yeah,
but,
already planning.
Like it's happening for sure.
And do you think scalping has just become, we know about sports cards, we know about NFTs. Do you think scalping is just becoming a more lucrative and more popularized method of making money? Or do you think this has to do with these consoles are seeing, shortages because of COVID and production issues? You think it's like chicken or egg here?
I mean, scalping's been around forever. You and I like sneakers, right? Like it's been a thing for a very, very long time. But now it's infiltrated the gaming space where maybe there wasn't any interest before. Like now they see like, hey, like there's not a ton of these things. We can make a decent amount of money by having my alarm go off during CommentForce. But on top of that, sorry, just I don't know, chicken or egg, neither. I mean, I'm confused by your phrasing of the question there.
I guess just like, is it the issue that scalpers are becoming more prevalent, or these systems are becoming rarer, or both? And it probably is both. I think also, I read a very generic article the other day about, young people in particular are trying to find many more unique and specifically online avenues to make income because of COVID and because of the recession and because of all those issues. And maybe that's part of it as well.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's a stew of all of these situational little scenarios, I guess.
My only hope would be that maybe these stores learn something and they could improve their system if the Switch Pro does release this year, but most likely not.
They've been they can try, but then the bot makers
just get smarter.
Yeah.
Well, get your pre-orders in. We'll let you know when that happens, and probably will be like in September is my guess, August or September. What will happen way before August and September is the death of Mario 3D All-Stars and the end of the 35th anniversary. Switch Me says, I'm buying 3 copies of Mario 3D All-Stars and putting it in a vault. And I just want to get your take, Gabe. I've shared my opinions, but 1, what's your take on Nintendo kind of doing this? And 2, do you believe, from the mouth of a 31-year-old gamer who's obsessively followed it for at least the last decade and a half, do you think that Nintendo will put these games on the eShop after March 31st for individual sale?
Yeah, I think eventually they come for sale. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that putting 3 copies of 3D All-Stars in a vault, while cool, I don't think it does a whole lot. I don't believe copies of Mario 3D All-Stars are worth tens of thousands of dollars at one point or anything like that, unless you're just doing it just for the sake of your
preservation
own,
or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool, but these games are going to come back in some form at some point, and that's the thing about games that almost assuredly are, they've sold so many millions of these, and Nintendo is probably going to maybe not have the bundle anymore, but yeah, they'll sell them individually for $20 or something. Man, if they can, Nintendo is so happy if they can sell you Mario 64 for $20 digitally. They're so happy.
My prediction, just to fill you in and anyone else that didn't see the video, I think that they're not going to sell them individually because I believe that N64 is coming to Nintendo Switch Online this year, and I don't know if eventually they sell Galaxy and Galaxy 2 individually or make some new cartridge, but my belief is that it is going away, 1, because Nintendo is weird like that, but 2, because they're going to introduce the N64 Virtual Console.
I mean, I could see that too. So that is likely, right? I do think that other consoles are coming. We've been saying that for so long at this point, but
I know it's crazy that it's year 4.5, and I guess we're now in the what? Are we into year? Or no, we just completed year 4.
Yeah, so we're
okay.
on progress to getting to year 5.
Right.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there will be a way to play these things for sure, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of a way to play, Evelyn will play Breath of the Wild 2 no matter the price. She says, it's Breath of the Wild 2. Whatever the price is, I'm buying it regardless. Nintendo has me wrapped around their finger. And I had thrown out the idea of, hey, Returnal, Ratchet & Clank, we see these games are now costing $70. Would you buy Breath of the Wild 2 at $70? And I don't think Breath of the Wild 2 will be $70. But it's just interesting that, there was so much upset around the Skyward Sword price, and that game goes on to be one of the best-selling games on Amazon. And, Nintendo does have they do have the fans wrapped around their finger.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. Well, I mean, I was going to say, I think if Breath of the Wild 2 comes out and it's let's say something outrageous, $100. Do you still think that moves millions of units? Probably, honestly.
No, but if Breath of the Wild 2 for an inexplicable reason does get a $10 price bump because they feel it's their, premier game, I think that doesn't hurt sales at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that hurts sales at all either. Especially because those are such big games. I think people understand that you're likely to get 50 plus hours out of this thing, if not 100. A lot of people play Breath of the Wild for a long time.
Well, and here's something interesting because we've been hearing the past day or so that there probably are going to be some third-party Switch Pro exclusives. Do you think that the Switch Pro could see $70 third-party price points?
I would believe that, yeah. I mean,
yeah, that if it kept in line with the other say NBA 2K22, it's or a game of that sort where it's just 70 on the other platforms, it becomes 70 on Switch as well.
Yeah, that wouldn't be shocking to me whatsoever.
Times are moving fast. Jenny H says, I love these style of videos, and we're talking about here my Nintendo collection. I kind of went through and showed off all the different merch and collectibles and relics that I have. She said, I'm so jealous of your collection. Do you have a big Disney collection too? And I'll answer that. But Gabe, the question for you is, do you have any collections, and or do you ever feel motivated to have collections? And I will say that I do have a massive Disney collection, but I feel like...
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, with age, I have felt less compelled by material collections.
I have a collection of thoughts, and that's the only collection that matters to me. Outside of that, like, no, I'm a digital dude. Like, I'm not digital myself.
You could be. You could be.
That'd be kind of funny. No,
you're basically like the Vision. That's why you had to leave SwitchForce. It's we can't really have a digital co-host, but we can hang out still. Like, we can be friends, but we can't really fall in love. Just like Wanda knows it's not realistic.
Okay. I wanted to make a comment about your collection. Is barely a collection. It's more like a stockpile of things. Like, if they were to see how you have your house.
Hey, why is that a stockpile, not a collection? What's the difference?
Walk down to your basement. Tell me that isn't just a pile of stuff.
Okay, but my organizational skills don't change the fact that it's a collection.
I don't know. Like, I feel like for it to be a collection, like, some respect needs to be put on it. Like,
oh my God,
you gotta like display it properly. Like, it's something. I don't know. I could be totally off base. I'm not. Again, I'm not.
I moved too much for that.
You haven't moved in years, but whatever.
That is not true. I just moved back from Florida 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
Wait, I know, but you still okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to throw your business out there. Never mind. Go ahead.
That's
a half
it is
move,
a collection.
Is what I'm saying.
I don't display it very prominently, but I used to be very obsessed with collections. Like, that was like my whole thing. Even in like middle school, like, I wanted DVDs. I collected DVDs. I had like the whole Disney set. I would get like I'd spend my weird money in weird ways. Like, I'd buy like the Simpsons seasons, and I'd buy all the
what happened
Ninja Turtles movie.
Is that part of the stuff in the basement? Like, all the like seasons of the Simpsons is not down there?
I mean, they're definitely down there somewhere. I'm not quite sure where. The DVDs have not seen the light of day in, gosh, the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
But no, I think there's something super cool about having collections. But for me, I just got...
No, go ahead. But no, I have a thought after. I'm sorry.
We just were stepping all over my toes, Gabe. It hurts, man.
No, because I heard you stop. I'm sorry.
I just more feel like, what do I do with this except look at it? And it's like me being very, I guess, existential, but it's like experiences just become more worthwhile, and having stuff just to have stuff feels not as cool anymore.
What I was gonna say, I will say though, I am jealous of like all the cool YouTubers that have like awesome like cases and cases and cases of stuff behind them. Like, that's the only thing that I have, like, FOMO, like fear of missing out. Like, that's the only thing. I wish I had like cool like cases of stuff like that.
Just for the aesthetic, or because you want to look at it?
No, just for videos. I just think it looks good as a backdrop for a video.
Man, go get a freaking green screen and throw a collection behind you. We won't judge.
Nah.
Taxo Chacon says, "Can you imagine Breath?" Oh, thank you. Can you imagine Breath of the Wild coming out today and people calling it a Genshin Impact clone? Now that's a disturbing thought right there. And I want to talk to you as our resident Zelda aficionado. If Breath of the Wild did come out this year, I think it's received super well, and I think it even has a chance to win Game of the Year. Do you?
Of course. And Taxo, I'm sorry, my guy. Like, this is an impossible scenario. Genshin Impact wouldn't exist without Zelda. So, like, if Breath of the Wild's coming out today, Genshin Impact doesn't exist.
Fair.
So,
but if it did, Breath of the Wild would feel like a step up, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, there are multiple games. There's a lot of Breath of the Wild. I don't want to call them clones, but there's a lot of games that share similar DNA.
Right.
And it all came from Breath of the Wild. So if we're gonna play this hypothetical that Breath of the Wild comes out today, then some of those games don't exist. As much as I love the game, Immortals Phoenix Rising doesn't exist. Genshin Impact, which I've played for maybe like 30 minutes, it's not my thing. It doesn't exist.
It made me, when I thought about this, it made me kind of recalibrate my thoughts on Breath of the Wild. When I thought, like, man, if Breath of the Wild came out today, it would probably be as well regarded as when it first debuted. And I can't say that about hardly any video games that aren't Nintendo properties. And it's just really impressive that they are able to have that kind of everlasting quality. Like, there's some things where it's like, okay, if Mario Bros came out today, obviously it's not being regarded as well, but within reason, within a certain reach of years, it's amazing. Because if we think about other games that came out in 2017, I don't know that they have the same oomph that, that Breath of the Wild is able to have releasing 4 years later.
They do have a certain level of timelessness. Like, any Nintendo game you play right now, right? Even like Galaxy on Wii, right? If you pull out your Wii, oh God, that was unintentional, I promise.
Please don't pull out your Wii. You've already stepped on my toes, okay?
If you pull out your Nintendo Wii console and you plug it in, yeah, like Mario Galaxy won't like look very good, but you'll still have a blast playing that thing,
right?
And I feel like Nintendo puts a lot of thought and care into that, into making these things timeless gameplay wise. Again, visually, no, but everything that they release with Mario and Zelda specifically, right? Because there's probably some Star Fox games that I wouldn't dare call timeless. I keep bad mouthing Star Fox, but so I think
deserved.
I think that's very important for them. So yeah, like I think Breath of the Wild could come out in a couple of years and still have the same impact, that Genshin impact, Breath of the Wild impact, that it had back then.
Let me let's dig a little deeper here. Let me just throw this to you, and I'm gonna read you some of the games that came out in 2017 just to see if you think they would also, receive similar reviews, similar cultural relevance. We have Resident Evil 7, Horizon Zero Dawn, Destiny 2, Prey, Assassin's Creed Origins, Uncharted Lost Legacy, Hellblade, Battlefront 2, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, For Honor, and the last one I'll give you is Mass Effect Andromeda and Ghost Recon Wildlands.
The thing is, we're not that far removed. It's not that long ago. So any of those games come out now, I feel like the exact same thing happens that happened then. Like, I still think Resident Evil... Okay. Yeah, I still think Resident Evil 7 is, liked and, it sells what it sold. I think all that still happens. Same with Horizon Zero Dawn. Very good reception, Game of the Year candidate. I think that still happens now. There's not a ton of other stuff that's coming out that's better than that.
So maybe it's not as impressive for Nintendo, or is it more impressive because Breath of the Wild was at such a high quality and it would still be a killer app this year, whereas many of those games, they're fine and they'd be fine, but what makes this impressive is that it was one of the best then and it would be one of the best now.
Yeah, probably that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Grace Robertson, who says, "You have sold me on Monster Hunter Rise." Heck yes. But not going to lie, I'm super excited about the Crash game coming out. And what I was going to use this to kind of talk about is that I feel like the discourse on Switch has changed so much as of late that, back in 2017, back in 2018, if we were setting up this row of games, exclusive Monster Hunter Rise, Crash Bandicoot 4 is coming to the system, Apex Legends coming to the system, it would be so impressive, and now I feel like there's not as much fanfare around any of these things, and I know you disagree. I know you think Monster Hunter Rise is getting a lot of hype, but I still feel like it's not getting the shine that it deserves, and I'm confused why, especially in a year where everything else is being delayed.
I still think that people are very excited I just don't know where that comes from. People aren't as excited for Rise.
I think it's because it's on Switch.
Yeah, but where is this even coming from? I see people being excited for it. So you saying that no one's talking about it? That's not what we follow a lot of the same people on Twitter. I see people talking about it. What? Yeah,
maybe it just feels like it doesn't have the same impact because it's not getting the mega marketing that a multi-platform Assassin's Creed would or something.
What does marketing look like in video games anymore? They had the IGN first
fair
thing.
Question.
They had the IGN first thing for it, right? And that's a piece of marketing. Getting it in content creators' hands, I feel like that's coming. That's a piece of marketing. As far as commercials, Nintendo still does those 30-second things that they use. I don't who watches TV so much anymore, right? Another place where I would watch these marketing opportunities for games was like before movies, but no one's going to the theater. So
Right.
like, what are they supposed to do? Like, you don't watch traditional TV, really? Like, I still watch
Sure.
like I watch it more than you because I watch like NBA games. So
Right.
and you know, maybe that's not the audience that Nintendo caters to. I just wonder like what it would even like what is it supposed to look like? Like, what is the fervor around rides look like for you to think that people are excited? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, and maybe that shifts my perspective. I will say and stand by that I feel like the Switch has come a really long way, and maybe there is some positivity to be taken out of the fact that nobody's all that excited about this, coming lineup of games because they've grown to expect it with the Switch, and that's obviously a very good thing. I just think if you look back at year one when we were like desperate for freaking Skyrim, and now we're actually getting a substantial, a regular release of third-party games. There's the rumor of this, really cool Resident Evil game being exclusive. You got Monster Hunter Rise exclusive. It is impressive that the Switch has kind of lived. It's bigger than its name, even, basically. Like the system has kind of just overcame anything that I feel anyone was ever concerned about.
Yeah, but that's just a product of a product being in year 4.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like let them, like if Skyrim wasn't around back then and let them announce that now, like I don't think people are crazy about that. Like, we're this thing, as much as we love it, it's not the new hot thing anymore. So maybe that's part of it. Like you don't, I'm using the word impact a lot, but you don't see it so much these days because people's focus is elsewhere. Although the Switch is still doing phenomenal.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's just, year 4 of the Wii U, it was a Sahara Desert. So it's great that year 4 of this, it's like continuing, like momentum continues to build, and that's something that Nintendo hasn't had in a very long time. I just feel good about that.
Yeah.
We got that Monster Hunter Rise presentation tomorrow, actually, which I will be watching live. I'm very eager to see what they show and if it expands the game to be even more exciting than it already is.
I don't know how much more they'll show like new monsters and stuff, I feel like, but how many more mechanics can you throw in? Like, there's a lot in there.
Yeah, maybe not. I'd like them to say that they've got an enhanced version coming to Switch Pro at Christmas 2020.
I promise you they're not saying that tomorrow. I promise.
I know. Let's go to our last comment of the day from Giancarlo Nicholas, who says, "Oh my God, you are 31 years old. Is no one else freaking out over this? I always assumed you were in your very early 20s at most." And I wanted to use this as our opportunity to kind of, reflect, wax lyrical, as they say. What's it like nowadays, Gabe?
Wax poetic?
Wax poetic, thank you. I'm not as gangster as you.
Wait, what?
What's it like being a 31-year-old gamer in 2021? What's it like being a 31-year-old YouTuber in 2021?
I don't consider myself either one of those things. That's and that's part of my age. Like, all these like silly words and all this vernacular, like, it misses me. Like, I'm not like that. So again, that's part of the age, and I believe I'm a little. This is almost contradictory. It's 100% contradictory. Like, I'm more cynical than you, I think, but you would say I'm not. But like, I feel like my cynicism is a direct result of age for me. Like, mine doesn't turn into like, oh, like I'm mad that I don't like this thing anymore. I'm just like, okay, like I don't care so much. Like, my mind is morphed to the ultimate not caring machine, as you well know.
Huh. I would consider myself both a YouTuber and I would consider myself a gamer. And
that's fine. Yeah.
I guess I feel like, I'm glad I don't look it, but I do feel like there's like this interesting dichotomy where like I'm longing for things that were, and at the same time I'm hoping for things that like are coming, and that maybe is convoluted, but like, as much as I want there to be new exciting things, I also am at this point now where I want them to go backwards a bit. And man, that's a strange place to be, because I feel like that's when you start feeling dated, is like, I'm wishing for things that once were, and it's a weird feeling to be like, man, maybe the best is behind us. And
but that's so, like, I mean, it's a cliche for a reason, right? Like, every generation of humans before us has felt that way.
Absolutely.
That the best is behind us. Like, back in my day, like, that's a thing that gets made fun of for being a cliche, and part of why it's a cliche is because it seems to be real. I've been experiencing it since I was like 15.
It's a long time, man.
Yeah, like, I've always just had I don't want to call it a more mature way of thinking, but like, the things that matter to people my age don't often matter to me. Like, I you know this, but I move on from things very quickly, and like my headspace is slightly different. You call me an old man because I still enjoy things I don't want to even say older things, because some of these things are very modern. Like Brandy's album that came out like a year ago. Like you said, it's old. It just came out, so it's like brand new technically, but it does have like an older flavor to it. And here's the difference between you and I. I feel really old. You don't.
No. And that's where I think that's where the frustration comes in for me, is like, I still feel very young and modern, and then I see these things like, man, I just don't get into games as services. I just don't get into battle royales. I just don't get into these games with 100-hour grinds. And so I'm like, why are they not appealing to me? Because I feel like I'm in the key age range.
Now you're in the minority though.
But I've evolved to the minority, and that's not a good, like, I know this is really cynical and this is really, just my own quirky mind, but like, I'm thinking, man, I'm like 30% done with my existence, and that's just so freaking depressing. Like, I was thinking this morning, like, man, my parents' life is like probably more than halfway over.
I accepted that so long ago, though. I think I've told the story. I was at my little brother's birthday party one day. Like, we were kids. Like, he was maybe like 5. So I don't know, maybe it was like 11. And like, it just hit me in like front of all those people, like, yo, I'm gonna die. And not only am I gonna die, all these people are gonna die. Like, there will be a point in my life that I'm never gonna see these people again, because they're not gonna exist. And I was frightened, like, at 11, 12 years old. But having that realization when I was that young, and I don't even know what triggered it really, but something triggered it, and I was able to move past it. So like, I'm comfortable. Like, you say,
man.
When you say that we're 1/3 of the way done with life, like, that isn't scary to me. And I can't get religious, right? Like, that's not my area of expertise, but I don't believe there's a whole lot after life. But we also don't know. So I don't know. Can we at least say that we know the Switch Pro is coming out? I really hate people saying that it's just a rumor. What's that got to do with us being old? But yeah, Switch Pro's coming, man.
Like, it's just something that we can say. Something that we can say.
How did you connect that to us being old and
coming? Because you're not sure of what comes after death, and I am sure that there's a Switch Pro coming in the next 12 months.
Yeah, there's a Switch Pro coming, for sure. Yeah,
it is coming. I know Nintendo hasn't said it, but these reports, they're connecting important dots. They're not just making supposition. So
and here's the difference between Zach and I. Here I am talking about like existential stuff, and Zach's like, hey, Switch Pro, like, yeah, and that's fine, like, it's not a bad thing, but these things matter like more to you. Like, I would love a Switch Pro, like, I'm super excited for it, all that, but that isn't where like my main thoughts are every day.
Let's give the people our thoughts here before we close out the show on Raya and the Last Dragon. Both of us watched the same movie on the same day, which is a rarity, a very, very unique situation. What is your quick cut review of this film?
It's a good Disney animated movie. Like, is it amazing? Is it great? No, but I think it's like perfectly reasonable. And I was thinking about this. I was like, hey, did I like this a little bit more just because there's like nothing else? Because we are currently starved of entertainment, at least by the volume that we used to have. We used to have movies every single week. We used to have, all these TV shows, and now so many things are on break. WandaVision. I'd much rather give our thoughts on WandaVision. But
you've already done that, though. I feel like.
Who, you?
You have.
Yeah, but not to these people.
Oh, okay.
No, but no, I think it was a good, like you said, like, 6 out of 10. I'm more like at a 7 out of 10. But yeah, I mean, it's a little formulaic. Does it do anything crazy and groundbreaking? No, but it's still so beautifully animated. The story, while not being what I want from these movies so much anymore, like I want them to have like more stake, and I get it. They're trying to go like. Did you ever feel like you were gonna cry during the movie?
Not really.
Like that's the thing. I think I'm just like more emotional than you. So like these things like have a little bit more impact on me. I said impact like at least 100 times.
I find them to be trying so hard to be relevant and adult and pretentious. I just wish they'd let loose and have fun and throw a villain in some songs and a silly conflict. But I will say it made me very excited for Kena on PS5 because like I want to play a game that looks like this. This is the most gorgeous animated movie I've ever seen in my life. Beautiful. And I want to play games like this. And man, like just the closest thing I've seen is that Kena game that's coming to PS5 in August. And it did elevate my enthusiasm for that game, even though I know it has nothing to do with Switch. It elevated it to a much higher level. I guess we can do a very quick WandaVision, just like literally a couple sentences. I will say that I think WandaVision is, to me, someone that is very fickle with the Marvel movies. And I enjoy the Avengers films, but I don't love them. I will say that I think this, I wouldn't say that WandaVision is of more quality than any of the other Marvel stuff, but for me it's the least upsetting. I can watch WandaVision and enjoy it more than I could enjoy, I think, any of the other Marvel movies. I feel like it's the least, there's the least like cornball goofy stuff and the least like bothersome stuff. It just kind of hit a really great lane for me.
You just confuse me so much when you say you hate cornball goofy stuff but you like Amazing Spider-Man 2. That is always so confusing.
Gabe, can we drop that? That's like a decade ago, man. Let it go.
Yeah, but you can't say you don't like cornball goofy stuff but you like that movie. It just makes no sense.
There are some things I'm sure you liked a decade ago that are corny.
So wait, so you're saying Amazing Spider-Man's terrible?
I haven't seen it since. It's not even on my radar. It's not even on my mind.
Again, I don't know how you could say that this.
Let's talk about Wanda.
I think it's a perfectly good show. I'm probably more fickle with Marvel. I don't think I like nearly as much Marvel movies as you think I do. Like I hate Age of Ultron. Like I think that's a terrible movie. Like I don't like the Guardians of the Galaxy at all, especially that second one. I hate the second Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, like I don't like these things the way you believe I do. But no, WandaVision was a cool story. I wish I would have done more. Like that's a big takeaway. I wish, and you know, it's not time, but I wish X-Men would have gotten introduced in some fashion. I'm not saying let me see Wolverine, but this was a good opportunity to do a little bit more with that. And they say that this leads into Multiverse of Madness, and I'm sure it does somehow. We just haven't seen it, and that's kind of sad given that we've seen 9 episodes of it. So I mean, it's cool.
To me, the interconnectivity is like what makes it corny, so I'm really glad that there's not so much of that.
Okay. The worst thing about WandaVision is bringing Vision back.
I love that. I think he's my new favorite Marvel character.
No, I love Vision. He's so cool. But like what I don't like watching the types of movies where consequences are meaningless, and if you kill off characters only to bring them right back, like it doesn't mean anything. And what happens the next time that like there's like this major character death in one of these movies, like, all right, you've brought so and so back, and like, okay, so you just keep bringing people back.
You got to give them credit that it wasn't Iron Man, it wasn't Captain America.
Yeah, well, because Robert Downey and Chris Evans won't do it. Like,
perhaps, but I'm just saying this isn't a retcon for cash-in's sake. This is something story-based, and we'll have to see it pan out, I guess.
Yeah, Vision's pretty popular. Like, you've killed Loki 3 times. Like, death is meaningless in this universe. So, I mean, and that's a bummer. That's all I'm saying.
Fun fact for you, Gabe. Most things are meaningless. It's all what you make of it.
I wish they would make something different of it. Just have a death mean something.
Well, hopefully our lives mean something, and the last 40 minutes of our lives mean something to you. Hope you enjoyed this episode of CommentForce, trapezing all over the spectrum of mind, thought, and video games. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of our lives every day and every week. Make sure to check out Gabe's stuff in the description down below. You got anything that you want to especially shout out for this week?
No, man. Like, whatever I end up uploading, my goal is to upload maybe like 3 videos this week. I'm rendering a video right this second.
Cool.
You know, So that's about it. What's coming out this week? Do we know?
It's a pretty cool week. We got the Monster Hunter Capcom Direct type presentation on Monday.
Yeah.
Apex Legends is coming on Tuesday.
I may or
Crash
may not have a
Bandicoot
video
4
for
on
you
Friday.
For that. Yeah.
There's some nice stuff coming. It's a pretty big week for Switch, and it will be a big week for videos, so make sure to tune in. Make sure you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, staying happy out there, enjoying yourselves. And for myself and Gabe, thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoy these videos in this style. And until next time, SwitchForce